If you're looking to buy or sell a home in New Jersey, contact our Coldwell Banker office in Wayne at 973-694-8000 or call Tim direct at 973-865-0249. You can also visit his website at www.homesinwaynenj.com. Tim's promise to you and your family is to provide you with exceptional real estate service while always working to exceed your expectations. And remember, at Coldwell Banker, we never stop moving. Are you an expert in your field?
Do you want your voice to be heard?
Maybe you have a great idea for a show but don't know how to do it.
Well, we can make it happen.
Email the New Jersey Podcast Guys at NJPodcastGuys@gmail.com. Welcome to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Waller and Matt Josephs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. I'm Tim Waller, your host, and sitting to my immediate left is my co-host, Matt Joseph.
How you doing,
also
Tim?
known as the voice of reason, and Peter Cornell, our engineer, who makes this show possible. Matt?
Yes, Tim.
We have a great show today.
We do.
Yep, very interesting show lined up for our listeners. We'll be discussing in depth the real estate team concept, how to build a successful real estate team, what it takes for the team leader and team to provide exceptional real estate service to both their buyers and sellers, and how they're able to achieve consistent, positive, and successful results each and every time.
Yeah, you know, Tim, I'm sorry, but I'm glad that we're doing this today because I've always kind of wondered what is the advantage to doing a team like that.
Well, you're going to find out today.
So this is good.
Absolutely.
This is good.
And our in-studio guest today is a phenomenal, dynamic, caring, passionate, and unique individual who ranks in the top 1% overall sales for Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage. I'm very excited and honored to introduce to our listeners Coldwell Banker's very own Karen Peters from the Karen Peters Group. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Tim. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you can make it. I know her time is very valuable, so having her presence with us today is a blessing for us all.
You're
Karen,
so sweet.
can you please tell our listeners a little bit about you and why you chose a career in real estate and what that journey has been like for you thus far?
So I started in real estate 26 years ago.
What'd you start when you were 10?
I started when I was 4. That's what I tell people. So I moved to New Jersey and did not know anybody. I was a former hairdresser.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I never knew
Oh,
that.
that's so funny. Okay, so I was a former hairdresser, and I moved to New Jersey and decided to get my real estate license because my real estate license and hair would not transfer. So I did not know anybody. And I started working for the same company that was owned by, Coldwell Banker affiliate, Schlott.
Schlott Realtors.
Schlott
I remember them
yeah,
well.
I remember.
I was always intimidated by Schlott Realtors because when you thought of Schlott, you thought of prestige and high-end homes.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. So I started for working with Schlott, and I had no kids, and I had a husband, and I didn't know anybody else in town. So all I did was work.
Wow.
And I still have the same husband, and now I have 3 kids.
So you were licensed when?
Oh, gosh. Well, what's 26 years ago? So 90? 90.
Okay.
That's pretty easy
Makes
math.
sense, yeah.
I
Once
can
you
do
remember
that.
what year this
exactly,
is,
yeah.
I was licensed in 1984.
Okay.
And I worked for a company, it was called ERA Urban Country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back then.
We knew each other.
And I knew Karen Peters, and she became a force in the business like it was overnight. And I believe if I remember correct, you were Rookie of the Year?
I was Rookie of the Year. I was the
Okay.
only person at the big awards that didn't have a suit on back in the day. So that was a little embarrassing.
So from hairdresser to Rookie of the Year
That's
in real
pretty
estate.
good. And what did you do to become Rookie of the Year? Like, what's your secret?
So Rookie of the Year was you were the number 1 new salesperson for Coldwell Banker in our tri-state. I took floor time. I did tons of open houses. Nancy Herron was an agent in the Pompton Plains office who kind of took me under her wing and kept on saying, "You have it, I know it."
That
and
was a pretty big wing.
It was a wing. She was impressive.
She was a big one, too?
She soared like an eagle.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So I didn't know they had the award and, won it. And
That's phenomenal.
yeah. So I just worked hard.
Yep.
And I didn't know anybody. So
but when you say worked hard, I mean, it's hard. It's all
It's
commission, right?
It's
so,
hard.
I mean, what do you do in your first year to do that well? What do you have to do? Like, what does working hard mean
open
in
houses
that regard?
and well, obviously the business has changed so much.
Yeah, but back then, I mean.
So back then I was on the phones for floor time and I did open houses.
Okay.
My definition of when Karen means working hard is when she would get home at night, her husband would call 911 and say there was a stranger in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, when I moved here, I was very shy. So
You shy?
I swear
I
to
can't
God.
believe that.
Yeah. So you ask my husband, he'll tell you that, and that's another story. But I was very reserved and shy, and obviously, New Jersey, you kind of have to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And real estate did change me, which is for the best.
Mm-hmm.
My sister-in-law sometimes wonders. She's like, "What did you do with the real Karen Peters? 26 years ago." So, and then I started having children. I took a year off. My husband was traveling a lot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I took
Wow.
a year off, and my husband was traveling a lot. And when I came back, the internet was here. And I was like, what is going on? And when I left, there was no internet for real estate. We still had the books. Remember
That's
the
correct.
MLS
Yeah,
books?
the MLS books.
So then I came back to the books.
Right. People would bribe you to get their hands on those books.
Yeah. 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 I heard that. Yeah.
So when I stopped for a year or so, I did not go into referral. I just kept my active license, but did not work.
Okay.
And at that point, I had 2 kids. And then I came back, and when I left, I had sold about 27 houses, and my first year back was horrible. I could not sell a house. I would sell them, and then they would fall apart, but it really wasn't my fault. And I was like, I can remember sitting in a chair in my living room and saying, I don't think I'm ever going to sell another house.
But the positive in that is probably it made you a better agent and really set the tone for who you are today.
And that was in the peak when I had taken a year off. So I never really worked in a market where you just put a house on the market and it sells in 3 hours for 4 offers. I never worked in that.
So you never had it easy.
I never had it easy.
Right.
I obviously, like Tim, we work very hard and, it does pay off. But I never had that, sign a contract in the back of your car.
The luxury to where
No.
you could put
Right.
you could put basically a chimpanzee in a suit.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Karen, you were always successful as an individual real estate agent. So when was it that you first started thinking or considering about the real estate team concept and developing your own real estate team? And why did you go from the Karen Peters to the Karen Peters Group, which is very well known throughout the industry today?
So in 2008, I went from selling 30 homes to 80-ish in 1 year.
That's
And-
incredible. That's incredible.
So I clearly need to do a few things to make sure that my customers will be taken care of.
And you can keep up with that level
Yeah.
of service.
And also, as you mentioned, the service, because I do consider both of us extremely professional. I always admire that about you. And if I'm going to be getting leads for buyers and I can't handle them, then who do I give that
Lead to.
That lead to? And I found myself calling into the office, and I wasn't in the Wayne office at the time, and everybody's busy. And I would call up and say, listen, I have a great buyer who wants to go out. Can you take them? Here, take my buyers. And it wasn't really working all that well. So everything just happened naturally. I did not say to myself, I'm going to build a team. I did it out of necessity. I hired my first assistant in Pompton Plains office, and that went to the Pompton Plains office merging with the Wayne office, which is, I realized I really didn't like change when that happened because that was really difficult, but it's been the best thing that ever happened to me. So,
And that was back in 2009. So
it wasn't in 2009. That was in 2000. It's been like 6 years that we merged.
okay, because I came to Coldwell Banker in 2009.
Okay, so then
They bought our company out.
so it was about 6 months to a year after.
Correct.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yep,
Okay, yeah,
yep.
okay.
So
about-
Karen Peters, who once I was intimidated by, now we
Please.
had the luxury of being associated with in the same office.
Nice. Now
So-
everybody wins.
I was happy, absolutely,
sure.
because you're only successful as the people you surround yourself with.
Right.
and there's always enough business to go around.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Always.
So what then is the advantage of having a team? Is it more out of necessity, or was there a business decision to?
So it was out of necessity in the beginning, and my business continued to grow, and I had open houses that I had to fill. I consider myself a kind person, and as I said, I try to provide the best customer service and also provide the best marketing. So if you're getting leads and we are investing in our own business and spending money, so my phone's ringing from Zillow or our own Coldwell Banker websites, I need to have someone who can take care of that buyer.
Right.
So with buyer agents, or I actually just call them sales agents now in my group, I don't believe that they can just take buyers out. I want them to list. So that's kind of the philosophy. And one thing leads to another. So I never really have gone out recruiting for new agents. It just kind of happens naturally, as I mentioned. And hopefully one day they'll outproduce me, and that's the plan.
And within your team group, at least from what I notice as being an outsider looking in, she has a lot of synergy within her group.
Okay.
Where everybody seems to know what their role is. Everybody knows what everybody else's role is. And I think when everybody else knows each other's job description, that's what makes the team unified in work.
Yeah, so my motto is I believe in family and home. And I really do hope that my group is a family. I care about them. I want them to be successful. It's not easy. And we work very, very hard. And not everybody has that luxury in their family. Or not everybody understands how much work it does go into building the group. I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but maybe a little. But my admins are fabulous, and that really has been a game changer.
So would you think, like when you first started your team, your admin probably was a very key component to allowing you to expand and do other things?
So my first admin was a part-time admin, and then I had my best friend, Amy, be my admin. And one thing I loved about her is she loved me. I loved her. It was fun. And also, I knew she cared about me, and she cared about my business. And that's very hard to find in any organization.
Absolutely.
So then Amy got a fabulous job working for a special needs school. And I was so happy for her, but then I was deserted and crying because I didn't have an admin. So I had hired Laura. And Laura came to me naturally also. So I never thought I would find somebody who would care about my business and take care of my business and have my best interest. And she definitely does. And she works her butt off. And then Laura had a car accident. So that was really a wonderful, thank God she was very hurt. So then I needed to find someone to help me because I was kind of lost again. And I needed to do it very quickly because we were selling over 115 homes. And Kara stepped up to the plate. And Laura was out for 6 months. And my goal was to have 2 admins in 6 months. And Laura came back and Kara stayed. And once again, it's just natural.
It just works itself out.
It just does work itself out.
Now, she said 115 homes like it was nothing. But I will tell you, because I know I've been doing this for 32 years, selling 115 homes is a monumental task.
I would imagine so.
I'm going to give you a round of applause.
There you go.
Well, I don't do it alone.
Well, I've always wondered, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
With the teams, right? So your name is on the team. It's your team, right?
Correct.
So let's say Tim's on your team. Tim goes out and sells a house. How is the commission, like, how do they do that? Obviously they're not going to get everything, right? Like, do you split that or?
It depends on the situation. It depends on where the referral comes from.
Okay.
Really does dictate what their commission split is.
Okay.
I've learned over the past, I would say 3 years, it is obviously the Karen Peters group, but it's not just about me.
Right.
So I want them to have the recognition, and I have done things in the past year to really make that a little bit more, I hope they feel the awareness for that. One thing is I do, through Coldwell Banker and through other things I have a great life. It's not easy and I work my butt off, but work hard, play hard. So Coldwell Banker has a great awards trip I get to go on every year. But
I want to hear a little bit about that trip because I believe it's in West Palm Beach.
It is.
The Breakers?
It is.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before I go to the West Palm trip, I had a great, we had a lot of fun. Big cocktail party and a beautiful night for my group. Invited our attorney, invited our home inspector, and wanted them to just feel as appreciated as I feel through Coldwell Banker. So with the fact of the splits, it's just based differently on if it comes from Zillow, which is extremely expensive to pay for, if they work their butt off in an open house. So it just, every single group leader has a different structure.
Right.
And it really is just what works for you, and also trying to retain your group members.
Okay.
And Karen's also a premier agent on Zillow, and that doesn't come cheap. You pay X amount of dollars per month for that.
Okay.
But again, it's a lead generating system, and she's actually giving her team members buyer leads that come in through her being that Zillow premier agent.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
So let's say we get anywhere between 10 and 20 leads a week. I cannot deal with that.
Right.
I can only be, I'm only one person.
You have to divvy them out.
And I really do, like, for example, today we had a open house, broker open house. We had 2 radon canisters that had to be picked up, and we had a walkthrough, and that was all before noon.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's a lot to
that's a lot
for one person.
Kara went and picked up the 2 radon. She opened the door for the walkthrough. Laura and I went and sat for lunch. Oh, I'm sorry. Charlie took photos for a new listing. And once again, that was all before noon.
Okay.
So there's no way. And I completely recognize that. And I also need to balance my life. And that is a challenge I never will be great at, but it's something I really try.
And the way her group markets and packages a home to cause it to sell for its highest and best price is probably the best in the industry.
Well, maybe second best. You're kind of up there too.
I appreciate that, Karen.
We'll be tied at first place, okay?
But, I mean, she does mega open houses. She can talk about that if she likes. She's done Twilight.
Mega open houses?
Yep.
What's the difference between that and a regular open house?
I'll let Karen answer that for
that's
you.
actually a thing?
It is.
Mega open house. What's that?
So, there's different ways to look at it. I have people that I'm in awe of over the way they perform the mega open house. So you really do plan it on a much larger scale with your own advertising. You serve special things, you invite special people. So it's a lot more of the planning. Some agents will prepare an open house, mega open house, when the house first comes on the market as their first showings. Our area is a little different. I'm not a big fan of holding a listing. That's just my opinion.
Because you're always looking to do what's in the best interest of the
and I do
consumer.
think that some houses are the great houses to hold until Sunday or till Thursday. But, we're not in that market. And as you said, I think it's a disadvantage of the seller.
Correct.
It's like office exclusives. I mean, my job is to get your house sold for the most amount of money, not to keep it a secret.
Right.
That's just my opinion. And I have a lot of opinions, so that's probably not a good thing.
She is very opinionated.
Hopefully good opinions.
Yes.
But when you say like you invite special people to the open house,
So
like, what do you mean, like the mayor? Oh,
no,
okay.
like neighbors. I mean, the mayor's a great idea.
Yeah,
but
you're welcome.
I'll add that. Yeah. So neighbors. If you do special advertising. So I also think this day and age, if you're not spending a tremendous amount of money on your business, you're not making it. So
especially on video, right?
yeah, video. I do. I do a lot
As
of
a matter of
videos.
fact, I was impressed. I watched your YouTube video, the Karen Peters Group, in which, I quote, she says and closes the video, Karen Peters believes in family and home.
There you go.
I do.
Which I think is a phenomenal tagline. I
Well,
really do. And I know that it comes from the heart because it's coming from you.
Yeah.
And she says that with all sincerity.
And that's where a family should live, is in a home. So
Yeah.
it only makes, it makes sense.
If you remove the people, it's a house.
it's a house.
walls.
Exactly.
It's the owners of that home, the family of that home that breathe life into those walls that make it a home.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting with the group, and something I've had a hard time with is not being involved in certain things. So if someone calls me up and, my admin calls and says, oh, your seller called me, I'm like, what are you talking about? That's my seller. Why are they calling you? And then I'll get a call from my seller or a text like, oh, your admin was fabulous. Thanks so much. You have such a great group. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. It's not about you. Breathe,
Yeah.
because I can't do everything.
Right.
And I also, as I think we mentioned, I'm a mom. So on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I pick up school at 2:00.
All right,
And
so
that's something that's important to me.
I remember those days as
You
I was as a dad, and I used to do that because of being in real estate. I had the flexibility to do that, so I remember those school times.
And I don't know if it's flexibility because our time is kind of...
More times are stock and trade.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to say no to things. But when I pick up my son from school, because I only have one at home right now in high school, I'm not on the phone in that car. And that's hard. That's really hard because the phone's ringing and you're like, oh no. And he can hear it in the car because it's all automated.
But he's only 15 once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not great.
And he's your youngest, right?
He's my youngest.
So
but I'm
he's
not,
the last one.
He's the last one. I'm really not as good at the family balance as I,
It's
say.
It's hard
It's so hard.
when you have your own business.
It is. And that's how I look at it. And that's the
and
problem.
that business, if it succeeds, your family succeeds.
Yep.
So it's got to be very important to you.
Yes.
But then at the same time, you don't want your kids growing up saying, "My mother was never there."
No,
So you have to find that balance.
Again, and how do you measure success?
Lots of money.
Well, I think it's a balance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah.
Well, there is a big expression. Sorry if I say this, and I
No, go
probably
ahead.
shouldn't. There's a big expression amongst a lot of us that say, "How do you manage work-life balance?" And everybody always says, "Oh, blah blah," and we're always like, "No, we suck at it." So it's very true.
Yeah.
But the group definitely helps, and that's the main reason I did it. It was out of necessity. It was out of making sure we had the best customer service. And I am thrilled with the Zillow reviews we get now. It's really exciting to see that it's working.
And she has quite a few reviews on Zillow. And I will tell you that reputation is probably the biggest thing you have in this business, and it's everything. And you could do 100 things right. You do one thing wrong, that's what people want to remember you by.
Right.
So by having the stellar reputation that not only Karen has, but her group is unbelievable. It really is.
One thing that with the group that sometimes your sellers have some major concerns when you meet with them regarding how does the group work. So I make it very clear that I'm the real estate agent, that you will not speak to my group. You barely will speak to my admins. Laura may call you and say, we forgot to initial 3A, and I always say that, I don't know why. And she's not even a real estate agent, so you can't really talk about your house.
Right.
My group may show your home, but unless I fall over dead, you will not really speak to them.
Okay.
So, and then Kara comes in as a transaction coordinator after we go under contract. So that's when you'll start hearing from Kara regarding getting the COs and the state permits and all that kind of fun stuff. But I am your person. So that's important.
So how has your business increased year over year since you started the Karen Peters Group?
You know what? My price range has definitely increased. I would say and once again, everything's a work in progress. So I think we'll probably do about 130 total real estate transactions this year.
130.
I just start, I try to track, but I'm not great at it.
You're gonna have a lot of people. You're gonna have a lot of people going to bed tonight saying 130.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know groups that sell 400, so It's all relative. Maybe in the next 3 years that will happen.
Okay.
Well, no, in the next 3 years that will happen.
I think it would take me 130 years to sell one house.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
You know what,
agent.
Matt? You're probably right, but that's why we call you the voice of reason.
Yeah. So it's, once again, everything's a work in progress. And we'll probably, my business has definitely, my, GCI has definitely grown tremendously over the last 3 years.
That's fantastic. Well, look, I just got word from our engineer that it's time for us to take a break. The New Jersey Real Estate Show will return after hearing a few words from our sponsor.
The New Jersey Real Estate Show is brought to you by the law offices of Joseph C. Petriello, located in Wayne, New Jersey. To contact them, call 973-890-7262. That's 973-890-7262. Are you purchasing or refinancing a home? Do you need a free same-day pre-approval? Then call Dean Scaduto from Coldwell Banker Home Loans at 201-322-3456. That's 201-322-3456.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. We're here with our guest, Karen Peters from the Karen Peters Group. And as we continue our discussion on the real estate team concept and how to build a successful real estate team. Matt, I think you had a question to ask Karen?
I did, Tim. Karen, before we were talking about the work-life balance, and would you say that a good number, maybe a majority of real estate agents have a hard time with that? And if so, does starting a team, if you're the type that can start a team, help you finally strike that balance? Or can it?
I think that the goal is that it does eventually. Growing a team is a lot of work because you have to train people. You have to teach them the way that you do it. I mean, there's an expression, it's just the way we do it around here. And you have to find people that have that same philosophy and want to learn and don't need to have you can't have an egomaniac. I can't be an egomaniac and they can't be egos.
Right.
Because that's just not a great combination.
Right.
So I don't think that there's a top producer out there, and maybe I'm wrong, that does have a good work-life balance. I think that's the goal. I know I have a business coach, and that's helped me a lot with mindset and trying to put things in priority. And, you're talking to yourself in the morning and figuring out your goals and reviewing everything. One of the most important things I've done is decide that I'm not going to let a few upsetting things ruin my day.
Right.
So if you get a upset seller or a difficult transaction, I used to, if someone yelled at me, I used to cry for 45 minutes. And now I do the little 3-minute freak out and kind of move on. Because you can't let it bother you.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like in April this year, I had a really rough afternoon. And I sat outside with big sunglasses on and said, how the heck did I get here? And I'm not a CFO or CCO. And I can't do this. And
right. So you have moments of self-doubt. And
oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that every person I'm a business, how did I grow this?
Right.
I was a hairdresser. I did not graduate from college. I'm not a CFO.
Right. So from what we're told, you shouldn't be as successful as you are because you didn't go to college or graduate college, whatever. Yeah. But so do you find that with the work-life balance thing is that are people attracted to being a real estate agent partly because you're kind of like a free agent? Like you don't have to be, sitting at a desk all day with a boss telling you what to do and looking over your shoulder. Yeah, I think people do not realize how much you have to work. Oh, yeah.
And I'm not trying, that does sound a little ego. No one has any idea how much we work.
And give them an idea. Tell them, what are they... you've got you got to be your own salesman, right? I mean, you've got to advertise yourself.
Yeah.
For instance, Matt, we don't get paid weekly. We don't get paid by the hour. We get paid
when you sell.
By providing a service first and foremost to our clients.
Right.
And a lot of times you can work 40, 50, 60 hours on one transaction.
Yeah.
And in a blink of an eye, that transaction, for whatever reason, buyer may have lost their job, falls apart. You're not compensated.
Yeah, see, that would drive me insane. I couldn't do that.
So when someone can work 50, 60 hours a week, they get a check at the end of the week.
Right.
That necessarily doesn't happen in our industry.
Yeah.
Well, when people don't realize that, excuse me, I know, what time did you get up, Tim?
500 hours.
Yeah. So my alarm goes off around 5:20 on, I would say, 4 days a week. I love my bed, so it's really hard to get up. But I get up and I do my mom stuff. And, I'm trying not to check my phone as soon as I get up. But one of the problems is sellers know and buyers know when we have our phones. And I got a text this morning at 6:25 from a seller. And I got a little annoyed. But I said, well, they know if I can't sleep, I'll return emails at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
They're not, and I've learned not to do that because you always make mistakes. 3 o'clock in the
Right, of
morning, and I
course.
do not get along for work. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah,
You get things confused,
No,
which you
yeah.
don't even realize you're not thinking clearly.
Exactly.
But, we're on social media late at night. It's 24/7. And one of the main problems is, as I said to you just a few minutes ago, our sellers know we have our phones, so they feel that we should be available 24/7. So we are teaching them actually to kind of abuse our time. Sunday nights, my phone's downstairs after 5 o'clock. I don't work Sunday nights.
But you have to answer, right? I mean,
No, I don't. My phone at 8 o'clock at night, I don't, there's,
So you don't feel like that you're going to lose that business if you don't
you know
answer
what?
it.
If they do not understand that you have a family and you're allowed to have family dinner on Sunday night, then you know what? Maybe it's just not the client for you.
Okay. All
Try
right.
reaching your attorney or doctor on a
Yeah.
Sunday night.
No.
There are
Because
agents.
they won't
no.
take it. Yeah.
There are agents that say if you are calling me after 6 p.m., I'll return your call the next business day.
Okay.
Now, to me, I can't do that because of my schedule with my family.
Right.
And my hours are not as traditional. Someday, maybe they will be. And, that'd be great too.
And I think Karen will agree with this, especially more so with her being that she runs a team, that you can't demand respect. Respect has to be earned.
Right.
And when you have earned the respect of your team members, again, that's what makes her team such a success.
Right.
Well, and Tim and I love what we do. I love what I do.
You can tell.
Yeah,
like,
it's just- it's
because
who
I
I
meet a
am.
lot of realtors, and I can tell
Yeah.
between the people who are like, this is all humdrum.
Yeah,
And then
no.
there's the people who are really into it and really excited about it and
Yeah.
love doing it. And you
love
two
the
are
win.
definitely-
I love the win. I love helping the people.
Yeah, I don't think you ever lose the thrill of the deal.
No.
Yeah.
Or seeing that smile on the face of someone who thought they never can live the American dream, and you give them the keys, and watching that smile on the, it's a magical
Do you ever
moment.
have somebody cry?
Yes,
All
I have.
the time.
Yep.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
horrible. I had a woman call me. It's
No,
horrible.
I mean
You
tears
feel-
of joy. That's what I meant.
Oh, actually, I cried tears of joy. I've had
okay.
been at a walk. I never till 2 years ago. I was never in a home once the client owned it, like right away.
Right, uh-huh.
So typically we go to the walkthrough, we go to the closing, and then we're done. And then you see them maybe a week later, check in, whatever. I actually had to go back to the house after they owned it with them. And my client was seriously jumping up and down with joy, like hugging her husband. And I started crying. I'm like, this is awesome. But I also had a client call me recently. She wanted to start a family. She wanted to have another child. And they had a little boy, and they were in a 2-bedroom condo, and her husband would not let her have another child until they moved. So she called me up on a Friday night, and I think she had a glass of wine or two, and I, thank God, had two. And she was like, Karen, you need to sell my home. I want to have another baby.
Oh.
I can't have another baby until you sell my home. And I'm like, are you kidding?
No pressure.
No pressure. I go, I'm trying. She's like, but I really need you to understand. I said, I do understand. I live this, so I definitely understand. I go, but the only thing is, if you do have another child, since my name's Karen Peters,
You have to name
the
it.
girl's Karen and the boy is Peters. So actually, we sold their home 3 weeks ago, and they just bought a house. We had the home inspection on Thursday in Sparta.
Nice.
So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's
which
great.
is
Up by me.
wonderful.
That's great.
That's the win.
And are
That's
they
the
pregnant?
joy. You know what? I don't know, but I would never
You
ask.
should follow up.
Oh, I will follow. I'm never going to
Yeah.
ask her if she's pregnant.
Why not?
Oh my God.
That's
if
why
she's
you brought
not.
Come on, Matt.
Come on.
You don't ask certain
You don't
questions
ask
like
those
that.
I mean,
questions.
come on.
I
It was
know.
all predicated on
Yeah.
the
and
house.
I call him
Yeah,
The
man
voice of reason.
Yeah, that's not a reasonable question.
It's tongue in cheek.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've come to the end of our show. Karen, it was both an honor and pleasure having you on the show today. You do define the true definition of a real estate professional.
Thank you, Tim. You're the best.
Thanks, Karen. And we thank you again for your valued time in sharing your story with our listeners today. It was extremely informative and insightful. And we thank you again, Mrs. Peters.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was
Thanks,
fun.
Karen.
All right. Now, listen, make sure you tune in next week as we discuss the importance of using a professional photographer to take your real estate photos. Our in-house guest will be Joe Locascio, owner of Home Exposure. Joe has won the prestigious award of New Jersey's best real estate photographer for the past 3 years. Thanks for listening to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. And remember, great leaders aspire to lead and then lead to inspire others. Stay safe, my friends.